up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Shooting the Shift. It looks a little bit different this week. Milton, Bryn and Matt are going to take the week off while me and Claire from Pit Stop Social kind of talk about something that's maybe a little bit heavy for the rest of the boys sometimes. So it's no secret that Claire's events are all about mental health awareness in the car community and supporting people as we've kind of escaped COVID, I think. We've got to be out. Or rather, they're not putting me back in jail. I'm done. Right, I'm free now.
I'm a free man.
So why? I think the first thing to kind of talk about is like, why am I here talking about it? We know why Claire's here talking about mental health. She runs a thing that raises mental health awareness. So I'm here. I'm coming from a place where basically my dad pissed off when I was 3 for the first time. He decided to abandon me. 7 years old, I got diagnosed with Asperger's, which is on the autism spectrum. So you'll all remember a while ago in the car scene when everyone was saying, "Oh, that's autistic." People around me will remember I got really pissed off by that. So now you know the reason why. Got hit in the head with a metal bar while I was at uni. Had a bleed on my temporal lobe. Couldn't remember my own name for 6 months. And couldn't feel one of my legs for about 12. So I was walking around on a crutch. And all that's kind of led to the facts that I've still got Asperger's. That's never buggering off. And I've got PTSD. I've got pretty bad depression. Claire's seen me through some pretty hard times myself. She's kept me in the game a couple of times. So yeah, I'm coming from a place where I ain't saying I've got any worse depression than any other human being. We all experience it in a different way. But I'm coming from a point of knowledge of someone who's been on this journey a few times. I've tried self-medication. I've gone through AA or Narcotics Anonymous programs twice. 12 steps is magical, but it ain't the perfect fix for everybody. So that's a little bit about me that not a lot of people knew until we've aired this, really. Probably explains a lot about why I'm a little bit weird. And like, one of the reasons I wanted Claire on this episode when we did it is actually when I came back to the car scene after their head injury, one of the best things that happened to me was just Claire at shows going, "This is Bam. Bam's got Asperger's. He's going to say it's weird and might offend you." And like, it just meant I have this human suit that I have to wear in day-to-day life to make people think I'm normal. And at those moments that Claire introduced me like that, I could just chuck the human suit in the bin and get on with my stuff and be me. And that gave me a freedom that, well, I still run around the car scene with today. So like, we're here and Claire's got her own vested interests in mental health as well. So like, you don't have to share, obviously, but what's your? I know part of your bag is helping people like I like to help people.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of personal growth in being able to sort of help other people, relate to people in a particular way, understand people, empathise with people. I think one of the things that I love about you is sometimes you sort of humorise a lot of stuff. Asperger's, it's just a thing, isn't it? It's like, and that whole sort of vibe where we go around the shows and like you're remembering stuff like that, it was all in high spirits. It was all like, and I think that sometimes that's a great approach to breaking down that stigma and the barriers and sort of getting it normalised almost and accepted in a more sort of whole social way, as it were, rather than people not knowing what these things are and then starting to mock them, like you mentioned before. And
I think that's a really interesting point, because actually, like, one of the things that came up the other day, so we were in the office the other day, we just had a bunch of new starters come in, and I run a sales team, effectively a telemarketing team, as everybody kind of knows outside of things. And I do a mental health training module on it. And I started talking, as you know, I told them all the stuff that I've just told you guys. And one of my team went, "You don't look like someone with depression." And I was like, "Well, here's my box of medication. Like, here's the pills I have to take every day. You know, I've just actually, like 2 weeks ago, I've come off a big stint of diazepam and Zopiclone just to balance me out. Like, so, like, I don't want. I think a really important thing is, like, when you're checking on your friends, don't ignore the happy guy, because the guy you think is happy might just be falling apart a little bit.
Yeah, we've seen this. We've seen this in some big cases as well, like celebrity vibes and stuff. And I think, yeah, we don't have enough time for each other a lot of the time, let alone like real proper time for ourselves. And I say this to you, and I say this to my partner Ricky, it's like you've got to take time to reflect, but not time in you sort of beat yourself up about what you've said, what you've done, how things went down, what you did or didn't do. It's more about reflecting on like a bigger picture, sort of just everything, just all the elements, and sort of reflecting in a productive way rather than letting your brain do the regular patterns that it tends to do, where you beat yourself up and you go down that negative route and you start to add things onto that pile of negativity and the scales and stuff, and it sort of weighs the wrong way, when in reality you need to be like spreading good vibes, thinking good things, and sort of building on the sort of that positive trail of thought. And yeah, I think that's really important that we try and sort of find time for, like I say, for ourselves, and when you can do that, you can then sort of like recognize things in other people a bit more. I think that's where I come from a lot, is the fact that exactly what you said, I know a lot of the signs because I'm a master of like hiding shit. You know it, you know how it is. We both get on because we know how it is. And yeah, I think you've got to look beyond the mask a lot of the time.
It's that thing that you said to me the other day, you know, like, bam, just stop, take a break. And I was like, and it was when I was on the diazepam and stuff, and I knew if I stopped and I took a break in that moment, like the wheels were going to fall off. So I just have to, and this is the thing that keeps me moving forward. Like, I'm not running away. I kind of still am. I'm still kind of.
You kind of are, but you know it's there. But you're sort of occupying yourself in a productive way, what your brain would consider a productive activity, or you know, I've got to do this, and this is more important. And that's the whole thing in stopping and reflecting, stopping and taking time for yourself. And I don't know how you do it, Bam. You do like all of the above, and you take care of me and friends and messaging Ricky and other people. I know you do, and it's like, but you still got your own shit going on. And
the thing for me is like, and I'm gonna, you know, this is for any family that are watching this, like, some of them know, some of them don't know. So first time I tried to top myself was when I was 13 years old. 13, 14 years old. I was still at school. This was the second time my dad had sort of walked out my life for whatever reasons that he deemed fit. And he buggered off to another country, just didn't tell me. Ran away from his wife and with the cleaner, ironically. And blamed it all on his 14-year-old son, and that really like to my head a bit. And I think it's important to talk about stuff like that as well, because actually I had a male mentor come into my life who I see as my dad, who is not my biological father, and I think everybody should be open to that experience of having just someone guide them. And I know, you know, we've got friends of ours who are young in the car scene, people. You know, there's people who have directly accredited me to helping them get their dream jobs in the past, and that's because I was taught by Jim McDonald, the guy that I do see as my dad, that I've got to pass on what he's given me, that knowledge in business, all that stuff. It ain't there for me to just make money. It's there for me to help look after the people around me. So yeah, so like, things can seem real dark, and I don't ever want anyone to feel like I did at 13, 14 years old when I tried to take my own life. The same feelings that I had in my 20s when I tried a couple of times. And genuinely, the only reason I'm here still is one of my friends busted down a door to a flat I'd rented. You know, I don't want people feeling like I did when I was self-medicating. And self-medication, if you're doing that, like, go seek a doctor. Right? No amount of and no amount of is going to fix your problems. It makes them worse in the long run. And then moving on to a few weeks ago. Like, I have a fiance that loves the bones of me, and everybody knows she loves the bones of me. She's an amazing woman who, like, when you're at your lowest, things will happen, right? So Amy found me after the previous girl I'd been engaged to turned around and said she didn't want to have kids with me in case they had Asperger's. So that we'll all accept that's a dick move, right?
She's gone now, man. She's gone.
I know.
Yeah.
But right, so Amy found me when I was partying with the boys at the workshop every night, sleeping in the back of a pickup truck, and I have no idea what that woman saw in me then or sees in me today. But I'm really glad she does, because she helps me keep going, you know. And this is the thing you've got to do. Like, you've got to take that negative energy that will pull you down and tear you apart, and you've got to plow it into some that makes dreams happen, right? I am never, ever going back to that place. I know what my triggers are. I know what my signals are. I spend anywhere between 5 minutes to an hour a week meditating, right? And it depends on what I can fit into my schedule. But I make that point to take 5 minutes to just clear my head. And it's not even about, like, the hippie bullshit. I can feel my chakra, all that kind of meditation.
No, man, you're doing it wrong. You need to be feeling your chakras below.
It just doesn't, like, you just imagine me in like big chunky me, like, I've got my little, it probably looks red on camera now, but I've got my little orange pillow that I go and sit in the garden on, right? And I use an app called Headspace, right? And we're not affiliated with them in any way, shape or form. But it's actually pretty cheap. They've dropped their pricing. And there's no BS around it. It's not getting in touch with spirituality. It's teaching you how to breathe. Now, what I started doing is, like, maybe just after I came off the diazepam, because you should not operate anything in a gym when you're on diazepam. Shouldn't drive, like, shouldn't do any of that stuff. So, like, just when I came off diazepam, I started going back to the gym at work again, and now I'm mixing that meditation in with pushing a little bit of weight, starting to train again, trying to get rid of a bit of fat. Like, it would be nice to be muscly and 20 stone and not fat and 20 stone. That would be a different physique, right?
But I think, like, the whole, like, taking that time out to breathe, taking that time out for you, whether it's 5 minutes a day or hopefully more than 5 minutes a week, but it's also, like, the exercising. The exercising's massive, because along with all the sort of achievements in, 1, getting your kit on, 2, actually getting to a gym and being around those people and making it into that place, 3, setting yourself some targets and actually sticking to them. And all of that in itself, that physical stuff and the physical progress, that's epic. But all of the other stuff that's happening in the process, like, they're not even side products, they're the main product of exercise, like the dopamine, the serotonin, all of the sort of happy chemicals that you're going to get from exercising. That's the stuff that you really need. That's why people say, oh, you know, go for a walk, clear your head. It's sort of connected, these things. Recently, loads of old sort of phrases that have been around for so long just really hit me a lot deeper. You know, since I'm all, like, qualified and graduated and stuff, it's like stuff means different things these days. But I don't know if it's part of getting older. I don't know if it is, like, part of the lockdown and what it's done to us all mentally. I just feel like, I don't know, life's a bit different now, and I see things in different ways. And yeah, it's important to get out there for sure and exercise. We know this.
I think that's the real thing that's kind of hit me through lockdown. Is, like, just how many of my friends have, like, that was a cable just randomly falling off stuff.
Falling away.
Sorry, listeners. That right weirded me out. Like, that's the real thing about lockdown. I think it's made us act like a caged animal. Like if anyone's ever seen a lion in a zoo, our natural state is not stuck away from people. We're social animals, human beings. Like you can turn around and go, I'm an introvert, I don't like people. After 18 months stuck inside, you'll want other human beings. And like that's what the car scene really gives us all. It gives us that opportunity to just meet new people. We've automatically got that shared interest, and we can just talk about cars, and it gives you that human connection and on like a different level that I don't think people who aren't into cars, they probably get it. Like, I don't know, pony riders probably get it. Like,
have you ever wondered this? Have you legit ever wondered what would we do, right, if we didn't do car stuff? Like, I don't really know what other hobbies I've got. Like, I'd probably have, I don't know, I'd probably take up shooting or like boat rowing or something proper random, but like, yeah, what would we do if we didn't do cars? And what do non-car people do to socialise and to get that experience that we get? I mean, do they get them from like yoga classes? And who goes to a regular yoga class all the time? Then people have got their in order, trust me. Like, who can do that? But what do non-car people do? How do they?
I like, I don't know, like, because I've got this thing that lives outside my house, right? I've got 300 plus brake horsepower monster that lives on my drive, and if I need a quiet day, I can sit and work on it. And if I just need to go out and clear my head, I can go to Mexico. Like, there's that element of it, you know. My escapes aren't just going to the gym or sitting and meditating, or actually I find something special in doing the artwork for the clothing brand and working with the designers that I work with. That just like putting on like a little bit of old school hip hop, just getting in my little creative zone is a beautiful thing. But driving is like, I've done it since I was 7 years old, right? So when I got behind the wheel of my first Caterham, and I know that sounds kind of entitled, the logic behind that is it was one of the bits where my dad decided he had a son, and he's colorblind and he couldn't go out on track, so he was living vicariously through a 7-year-old that's not colorblind, basically. But you know what? That taught me how to work on an engine. That taught me how to build things. So fair enough. He's given me something that's built me a network of friends and a hobby that's probably the thing that's kept me alive, if I'm honest. But I don't know what normals do.
Normal.
Yeah. All I know is they phone the police whenever I park up with a bunch of mates in Tesco car park, right? Or when we used to hang out in Cannock back in the day, and then and we weren't allowed to go through tunnels and stuff anymore. I remember that last tunnel run with the Slambox crew before the injunction came in. Like, that was a beautiful thing.
We started injunctions, man. We were the cool kids.
I think the real thing there, actually, you know, you've said it, is like, and it scares me. It really scares me how many of my younger friends I know they've got depression, they've got anxiety disorders, they've got personality disorders. And some of the things they talk to me about is like they feel like they're not succeeding in life, right? And I know I as an older bloke that's seen this thing around me be created in the form of Facebook. I remember Facebook when you could only get on it if you had a university email address. Right? I remember those early days, and people didn't know what the internet really was when I was younger. Like, it was this free place where you could talk about anything, right? And people were quite free and did talk about anything. And people talked about depression and things openly. And then social media came about, like MySpace. How many MySpace friends have you got? Suddenly was the fucking measure of how successful you are in life. That's a shit measure of success, right? If ever there was one, how many friends have you got on a digital platform where it's a click of a button? They ain't real friends. They're dick that like the colourful background or the music you put on your MySpace page, right? And then from that you get Facebook coming in and Instagram, and I only have these accounts left these days because I have to for the business, right? Because
the amount of times I would have just deleted my social accounts if it weren't for having to. There's checking in on people as well.
Yeah.
There's some people that, as sad as it is, the social media, it's their place for attention, dude. Like, some people, I know it sounds savage, but those likes and those clicks, those like comments and those I know some people that's all that keeps them ticking. If they didn't have that, I don't know where they'd be.
I know. And
it's scary and sad.
The scariest thing about that to me is when, and I'm going to say this, and I don't care how controversial people think me saying this is all power to you. Share your mental health on social media, but don't let that become what defines you as a human being. Because actually then you have the day where you're having a bad day and Facebook, the algorithm decides not to pick up your post that I'm having a really shit day today, I'm struggling, and you don't get the likes, right? You don't get that stuff coming through. A robot is deciding your fate in that moment.
Yeah.
And your brain is going, I need the likes. Well, have I not got the likes? No one cares.
Yeah.
No one loves me.
Yeah.
People care. People love you. I care, right? Right. So as I was saying before, Claire's internet just died, right? Like, if you've ever bought a sticker from us, like, I'm all about that wholesome thing. Like, not even if you've ever bought a sticker from us, right? You follow our and you're struggling, reach out. We're there for you, right? We have, we've just recently done a thing. So one of the guys couldn't make a show. He bought his ticket and he just turned around to me and went, bam, just like give it to someone. Do what you do. Think of someone who's struggled and just give it away. And what we do is like Yakushi that we're at next week, where we'll be hopefully doing the podcast live if the technology works on Friday evening. We just invite people down and book a club stand and hang out rather than doing trade. It lets us like just catch up with everybody and talk and still be part of the community rather than just being the mighty glorious salespeople that we are, right?
I think that's massively what Yakushi is about, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like the end of season event. It's for us all to just chill and catch up and cars, clubs, community.
Yeah, exactly that. And now I'm just gonna love that you've remembered this tagline.
How can you not? It's epic.
I know. And I've got so much time for Nige in the way he works with people to get stuff done.
He's always just got time for like the little guys like me. He's always just had time for us all the time. All you'd see is just Nigel at the show, just flitting from person to person, catching up, and it's just that's why he's so successful. I'm going to say it. It's why his shit's on point, because he makes the effort.
Yeah, he does, and like if I can be half as good as that as Nigel, I'll be doing all right one day, right? Like, and that gets us to the point about the community side of things. So when the brand has got spare cash and we can afford to do it, we won't just go to the people around us that help us work on stuff and go, look, let's get a club plot and hang out, do stuff. When the brand's got money, we give away tickets, right? There hasn't been a single year that this company's ever turned a profit, because I am an absolute bugger for spending the money on tickets for randoms that have got problems. Like, not in a horrible way. So we actually met someone, right, at Claire's last pit stop social, right, and this young lad's been having a bit of an hard time, and I'm not going to go into the detail of it. And I just messaged him the other day and I was like, what are you doing this weekend, dude? We've got you a ticket. Just get in the car, get a tent, come out, hang out. And genuinely, like, he was made up with it. I'm not going to share the message because I don't want anyone to see it, but those little random acts of kindness are what I'm about. Just like your small gatherings work. You know, there's brands out there that do the bigger, like, raising awareness stuff. And I don't think some of those brands can hit in the same way that you do and your events do.
That's it. I think that's one of our hashtags is neurons, not numbers. You can't satisfy a massive amount of people when one of the big problems is having a mass amount of people there in the first place. So bring it down, keep it small. If you want to build a community and build people up, do it in a way that is actually actively advocating rather than just, you know, so it's a bit of both. It's a bit of awareness and actual action as well. And it's difficult to achieve. It's like you mentioned a few times, stay true to what you're about, stay true to your roots, and that is what it's about. I've always got that in the back of my mind, like for my own sort of personal social reasons, and also for Ricky's as well. And I know I've spoken to a lot of people, both at the meet and before the sort of first pit stop meet, that, you know, are overwhelmed by massive amounts of people that won't go to the likes of Kelsey events because it's just money through the gate. Speaking of which, Jackfest is £40 on the gate. £40. It's nothing to some people. To other people, it's a lot of cash to then go and be like crammed in
And it's
and like funnels. And not all events are like that, but that's it. You can't achieve these sort of small scale things on a large scale all the time.
It's not even that. So I remember back in the day seeing cars turn up to meets and shows, right? And the bodywork wasn't finished because they were still doing it. Now, you remember the Max Power days, right? You remember
back in the day for sure, yeah. I was just thinking about more recent stuff that we've been to together, and I've barely made it there, and yeah.
My cars ain't done because COVID wasn't kind to the finances, but like I've got people with like perfectly decent cars, right? Who go, I'm not coming to that event because my car's not show ready yet. And that is the biggest, whoever has instilled that in their head is the biggest hole going, right? To turn around and say to someone, your car's not pretty enough to be with us. Right, I don't give a right? If your car is rotten to hell, as long as it's safe to drive, come hang out with me at Summit, right? I've got time for it. And not only that, if I'm not rammed with 10 ton of stuff to do, which I usually am, like, getting time with me is like, yeah. Claire gets phone calls every now and again on my drive home from work. That's when I do my talking to people and catching up, right? But like, come hang out, have fun. I don't like. Hurdy the other day goes to me, the RX-8's not going to be ready for Yakushi. It's not going to be painted. And I was like, as long as the engine runs, mate, body kit's on, drive it down. I don't like. We don't care.
I'm coming in my goddamn daily. Like, I'm not messing. I need to get there, don't I?
I'm bringing my daily. Amy's bringing.
Yeah, it was cool.
Amy's bringing the stage year down. It's going to be a good one. But
like, I don't always think that it's like people. It's that built up perception in different areas, and it's the same thing when you've got these pristine, awesome, like, magazine worthy car shows where everything is done to the nines and it's all admirable and like proper inspirational shit going down. It's amazing, but it's no different than seeing supermodels and like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing, and it's not so much put in your face, but it's still, for a lot of people, it's like, yeah, I want to build my car to that. And it's that aspiration that they'll never achieve because they've not got 20k sat in the bank that they can just dump into a car. Yeah. And that's a lot of us. Like, that's me included. Like, there's no way I'm spending that on a car. Not right now.
I mean, I would, but like,
yeah, for sure, if I had it.
The other side.
We don't. That's my point. We don't all have it.
The other side of that is a lot of these people who make these assumptions, right? They're looking at photos. And every
Oh my
photographer,
God.
every photographer I know edits.
Some of my own photos of my own cars look amazeballs. It's like the 10-foot photo, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it looks good.
One of my favorites is one of my other favorites is why didn't you film my car at a show? It's
I
not
saw
like,
this over the weekend, like, if you've got any pictures of my car, I got any videos of my car. Mate, if you had any pictures of your car that have been up, I don't know how people refrain from saying that.
So no, but, like, it goes as far as people will dislike people's content because their stuff's not in it. Hey, look, right, and in the subject of mental health, it's been a long time since my mental health was so low and so bad that I got so high that I thought a sensible thing to do was to nail gun a fence to my housemate's door because I was bored of dealing with.
Wow, that is extreme.
Like, and this is where that old BAM reputation came from. Like, before the head injury, right? People in the castle knew I was just like this Larry guy, like properly like Larry. And some people still know. I was talking to one of the guys in Telford, right? Trying to just go like, when are you gonna let me ever go with the GI Yaris? Because he's got the GI Yaris, right? And he just looks at me and goes, "Bam, no." And it's like, why? He's like, I know the speeding ticket you're going to get me in that car. Yeah? Like,
Yeah.
And it's entertaining when I meet people who knew me back in the day because I'm not that guy anymore, really. And that's the other thing to remember is, like, sometimes people now will discredit people because of how they've been in the past and they don't allow people to change.
That is a big issue for me, the fact that people won't allow you to change. I think that's a massive, it's a societal issue, really. There's a lot of people that don't want you to change, that don't like it when you change, that don't like it when you try to better yourself. They don't like it when you suddenly turn around and grow a pair of balls and say to them, no, I don't want to do that, or no, I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
People don't like change. And I posted something today on my own personal profile and it was about the same thing. It's about change and about the challenge and the challenge of change and how the pair of them combined sort of deliver growth and personal development, and you can really sort of move on from things and get through things and have a new perspective on life if people will let you change. Or if you've got the right people around you that are going to help you and encourage you to change in the right way.
You know, that's one of the most important things you can do. If you're struggling, you've got to change something, right?
There's something that's not happening. Yeah, it's not well. Yeah.
Your brain's just going, I can't deal with this anymore. I've had enough. And you got to make those changes. And naturally, right? Naturally, we've got, as a species, we've got a status quo bias in that the monkey in our brain doesn't like change, right? That bit of us that was digging around in Africa before we even evolved to stand up on our hind legs and walk around, right? That bit of us is still in there, and it's still a scared animal that doesn't like change. It doesn't want to go over the edge, right? Doesn't want to see what's on the other side of the hill because we're safe here. We don't know what predators are there, and that's why we've got this bias to change. But the other side of that is I look at situations when change is required, and I go, what if I don't? And the reality of depression is, if you don't make a change, it is not gonna change, or even worse, you're going to do something that you're not going to regret, but is going to leave a huge hole in other people's lives. And that's not trying to guilt trip anyone into going to get help. That's the reality of what happens. You know, we've seen a couple of instances in the car community where people have taken their own lives, and the hole it leaves behind in the people that hang around with them is massive, right? And like, I know where my brain was taking me before I went back on my tablets. I knew that. So I stopped for a bit, Claire. Okay. She say, And you can tell, from Claire's response, and I'm being Aspergic, and I've switched my emotions off for this episode so I can talk about this stuff. Otherwise, I would be a blubbery mess too. I don't want, the reality is it's not great. I know where I was at, and I know what I was getting close to. And the morning I woke up, and I started justifying to myself why Amy didn't need me, why she'd be better off without me. That's when I turned around and I got back in touch with my doctor. I woke up that morning and I scared the living shit out of myself. So I'm not, when I say to people, go get help, like your GP will give you some pills, right? And some places where you work will have a thing called an EAP program. And wherever you work, if you're not feeling great, call your HR team and ask if the company's got an EAP program. And if they have, you work for a banging company, don't leave, right? Any company with an EAP program, normally you'll get like 6 sessions of counselling free. That can carry you through, right? Claire works with Shout, that fundamentally are there, just drop them a text.
Yeah, 24/7, anytime, any place, anyone, text them. I think there's sort of 3 automated messages that they'll go through, and they sort of prioritise people as an urgency of priority. Obviously, if there's something severe happening, call 999. But yeah, somebody after those 3 automated messages of sort of getting through to the issue, you've got a real person at the end then. And then you can sit and talk with them, and they're going to give you a plan to get you through the scenario that you're in and sort of plan going forward. I'm going to link you some resources, give you some more hope, and just sort of bring you back to reality, because you're not on your own, no matter how much it feels like you are. You're never alone, ever.
That is the most important thing, right? If you come to one of Claire's pit stop social events and you're in a spot and I'm there, you come and talk to me, right? And you'll just get this big fat bloke that turns around to you and goes, right, if anyone remember, I don't know if anyone will remember this cartoon, I've probably been an old fart now, right? But I'll be Obelisk, you be the boulder for a bit, I'll carry you, I'll help you through, right? And it does not matter what state I am in, no matter where my head is at, I will drop, I will stop dealing with my own to help other people. Because my biggest fear in life is someone feeling like I've felt at my lowest points. Because it's fucking horrible. Right? The reality is, if we don't make change, we continue and we perpetuate that situation.
I think that's kind of sometimes all the help that you need, really, is the recognition that you can change. There are options to change. Maybe someone to talk to, sort of. I mean, for me, it's been a long process. It's been a long journey, and that's life, really, isn't it? We've all got sort of individual routes and stuff, but it's been a lot of sort of brain training, like retraining natural thought processes. So now when I hear that negative voice, I've got the positive voice that's like almost 10 times louder. But like you said, you need to learn your own signs. You need to learn your own triggers, your own warning signs. But for me, it's been about reprogramming the way that I face things. So when I come to a situation that makes me feel uncomfortable, scared, angry, frustrated, worried, anything at all that takes me out of my sort of balanced state, I ask myself, what has changed or what needs to change to sort of feel balanced again? So that sort of made me a bit more familiar with change and a bit happier with working towards change, rather than just being the whole human OG. Change is scary. It's about seeing things in a different light, and that is a lot about the community vibe, because you can't always do that on your own, because your perception is your perception. The whole 2 heads are better than 1. It's because somebody else's perception opens your perception, and that's why, even though it's so fucking hard to talk to somebody, anybody, 8, 2, 5, 2, 8, you're going to want to change that. I should know it by now, because I've been emotional. I've forgotten. I hate numbers. I'm rubbish with numbers. But yeah, text, shout, message somebody, speak to a friend, go online, go on a forum, something positive.
You were right. 85258. That's the one. Not that I did a very quick Google to remind myself. Right.
Yeah, it's sort of backwards. When I see it, it's like it would flip, and that confuses me.
So, like, I think the thing is, like, the car community is, there are some heads out there, right? And there's heads out there that'll, like, tell blokes to man up, right? I am a 20 stone bearded man that regularly has the shaved head and ponytail of a Viking, right? I eat red meat. I don't like cleaning. Right? And I'm going to tell you right now, the strongest thing you can do as a man is talk to someone about your right? Like, anybody that tells you you've got to bottle it up, get rid of that negative energy just right off, right?
Yeah, you're better off with no one sometimes. I know that sounds absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you've got that negative person, you're better off with no one. Go and find new friends. Close one door and open another.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I have people turn around to me, like, at shows and go, "Oh, you must know everyone." I don't know everybody, right? A part of the thing is my career is, like, just made me naturally go up with people and go, "You all right? I'm Bam." Right? But then there's the other part of me that's constantly going, "Is my human suit on right today?" And the only place I've never had to fully have my human suit on all the time, right, is in the car community. It is the most accepting place I think I've ever been part of, right?
Dude, it's changed my life. I'm so much more comfortable and confident in myself because of the people that I've met through the car community. It's okay to be weird. It's okay to be up. It's okay to, like, accidentally do a skid one time and cause a massive scene at a show that everybody absolutely remembers you because you've got bright red hair. It was one of 500 people, and yeah, you had to spend the whole weekend there and then go on to their forum and publicly apologise because you got overexcited. And yeah, so we've all done shit.
It's okay to call an old lady a at a national rally for
I've never done anything like that.
I have. I have. I did it on a sponsor's stand as well. And the best bit about this is that this sponsor, and this goes to how far the sponsor's just accepted and that I'm on the spectrum, and sometimes will do that nobody sees coming, right? All I got was from the marketing manager of this company was, "Bam, do you remember you always have to bring a spare t-shirt for when you do autistic stuff?" Yeah. It's like, "You did an autistic thing just then, didn't you?" I was like, "Yeah." But she is. And it's just, the literal comment was, "Here's 50 quid, put on your personal t-shirt, not our t-shirt, go play on the auto solo for an hour, come back, and then we'll talk about whether or not you're putting that brand t-shirt back on today." Right? And they came back. And I came back. The old lady had clearly left the show by this point. And they went, "Right, we told her that we fired you, but she's never going to know. So you can put your t-shirt back on now." And they just accepted that every now and again, this little autistic monster on their stand would talk to everybody about engines, but swear a lot and say the occasional inappropriate thing when someone interrupts him. Like, and I think, like, we've talked about some really, like, deep, you know. We've talked about suicide, and we've talked about how that's gonna affect the people that you leave behind. We've talked about where I've been and how close I've come on occasion to that, and the fact that, you know, there's been times when my life has literally been saved by the people around me, and I regret everything I've put those friends through at those times that have found me in those situations as well, because it's afterwards that you realise that actually one of my friends has got PTSD and it's my fault. Yeah, sometimes that friend gets to a similar mental place that I did because of me. That's on me. I did that because I made a decision. And the decision I made was not to get help because I felt completely alone. I think the most important thing that we can end this episode on, and we're going to revisit this subject of mental health again because it's something I really care about. I think next time we're going to talk about positive mental attitude, and it'll just be me and Claire again because we're going to spare the boys. They're getting deep. And Claire and me can cry on camera. I can hide it because I can literally
just
switch.
wipe it with your beard.
I can now as well. This is the great thing about not having had it cut for like 2 years.
Has it been 2 years?
I only trust one lady to cut my beard in the entire world, and they do not live in the same house as me. You know, actually no, I don't think we should do a separate episode. I think we should talk about the positive side of things now. So the first thing, the real first important change is if it's other people that are not benefiting your situation, not in a selfish way, not in a they're not giving you money, they're not in an entitled way, but if they're actively bringing you down, you don't have to engage with them. You don't have to deal with them, right? You can...
I think what's important though is you have to address that first. I don't know, maybe that's just important for me. I don't feel like, I mean, I've lost friends. I have genuinely lost friends because I've said to them, look, dude, I've spent 2 years bringing you up, giving you money, driving down to you to kick your door in when you're telling me you're suicidal. But in reality, you just don't want to get help. You want to sit there and self-medicate and you want to be, woe is me. And when all I'm trying to do is be positive, and it gets to the point that I can't share my positive vibes with you and my sort of achievements in life because that person would literally turn around and be jealous or be weird with me or fob it off, or it's like you've got to want to help yourself. And I used like, I don't know, I guess it's some sort of metaphor, but I was like, I tried many times to speak to this person. We were real good friends. And I sort of said at a point, I was like, look, dude, you're like moldy fruit. You're making me feel ill. You're making me feel like about my own life. Like what I'm trying to do for you isn't good enough. Like what I'm doing with my own life it's not worth your time. It's not worth my time. It's that I thought a lot about that person. So it's hard to sometimes go, do you know what? That person's no good for me. I've got to cut them out. And I guess everyone's got a different way of doing it depending on the circumstance. But please, if you feel like that person's negative for a particular reason, don't just walk away from them. Try and help them. Encourage them to seek help too before you finally walk away. Because only then can you do it with a clear conscience.
I think that brings us nicely back to a point that I'd started earlier, but I don't think I finished because my Aspergic brain went on a tangent. Is actually social media, right? That bit where you post up every day the woe is me status, right? It reinforces that victim mentality because you get your dopamine hit of 30, 40, 50, 100, 2,000 people, 1 million people have liked or given a caring
emotion. The fact that I'm so, there's people like the fact that I'm a sorry state. People like the fact that I'm taking fun out of my own life. People like the fact that I'm making out that I'm desperate. It's like, no, you're feeding the wrong vibes, man. You're affirming. That's the word. It's affirmations. You want positive affirmations. I'm going to take you back to where you started, Bam. Yeah. Back to all that spiritual Buddha like the Buddha vibes. You want positive affirmations. And for as long as people are feeding themselves through social media, through negative like self-talk, through whatever it is that's negative, that's all you're affirming. And it's so hard to switch and go the other way. But for as long as you continue down that route, you're just going to get further and further lost in that wood.
Yeah, I've got so some of my new team members at work have started coming to the gym with me, and one of them went, I'm noodles. I'm made of noodles. I'm not strong enough to push that weight, right? And I went,
not yet.
No, I didn't even say not yet. I went, right. Sit down in the chair. I'm going to set it a weight and you're not going to look at the weight, right? So I acted like I'd moved the pin. And I didn't move the pin. I left the pin in the weight that they just told me they couldn't do. I said, I want you to give me 25 reps on that weight that I've set it at. And then if you do that, we're going to lift that. We're gonna put the weight up another notch, and you're going to do it again. Right? And then they turned around, and they were a weight that was like 5-6 kilos heavier than the one that they said they couldn't do because they were made of noodles. Right? And it's because somebody in their life at some point has gone, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And now they're getting competitive with me in the gym. Like, they're on the leg press machine like a couple of days ago, looking at what I've just done, going, can I do that? Right? So they've gone from, I can't do that, I shouldn't do that, in a matter of weeks, having been proved that you can do what you don't think you can do. Yeah? To doing the thing. And all that happens is, and this is the thing that I always teach in sales training, right, is the only thing that you can find out if you're telling yourself you can't do something and you try is that you're right and you couldn't do it, or that you were wrong and you can do it. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to find out that you're right and you can do it, right? The worst thing someone can do if you pick up a phone to talk to someone is say no. No doesn't affect you. No's not a punch in the face. It's not a metal bar to the ribs. Yeah? But if you try and have the conversation, sometimes you'll find it yields amazing results, right? So I after the head injury, I got into this really bad state where I was just like, I'll just keep taking the sertraline. Just going to keep taking the sertraline. They give me that, I get a script. And you lot know what it's like when my IBS flares up. Sertraline gave me really bad IBS. It's a side effect of the tablets, and it's never left me since. Right? But the day that changed is the day that I started asking for different kinds of help. I went to my doctor and I said, I'd like to try counselling. I'd like to speak to a dietitian because my weight's affecting my health. And I got lucky. Sometimes you'll get a doctor, sometimes you won't. If you get a doctor the first time around, just ask for a different doctor the next time. I want an appointment to talk about my mental health with any doctor except for Dr. X. Or I want to help to talk to a doctor with any doctor except for Dr. X and Dr. Y. Right? And you work your way through every at that surgery, and then you change surgeries. Right? Because there is nothing more important in this world than you staying in it. And it's why Claire will tell me a million times, I've got to stop, I've got to take a break. And I never do. I cannot stop, because if I don't stop driving forward, I start falling backwards. That's the nature of what I've become, right? And it's because I'm not scared to try the new thing every time. And I've got an appetite for it now. I've gone from someone who aspergically grew up actually really scared to interact with people because they didn't understand my weird little things that I do, like the fact that whenever I'm confused I look pissed off because I'm getting frustrated at the situation, and facially I can't do confused, so I just go straight to like, yeah, I look like an angry little right? And you can go, why are you grumpy about me? I'll be like, no, I just don't understand what's going on. Right? And it's because I'm getting frustrated, you know. And some people along the way, no matter what you've got going on, will say some really shit things to you, right? When I was 7 years old, a parent of another child at my school turned around and said that I should be sterilised so I didn't pass my Asperger's on. An adult said that to a 7-year-old, right? And do you know what? I succeed to spite that person. I don't want anyone who's listening to this, anyone who's watching this, to go, I can't do whatever. You can absolutely change the fucking world, right? One idea that changes one person's life and helps them change another person's life and helps them change another person's life, that changes the fucking world and makes it a better place, no matter what any tells you, right? You be a little bit punk rock, you do it yourself, right? And that power to change the world fucking lives in all of us, right? That is a fact of fucking life. And like anyone that watches this will know that a couple of weeks ago we were talking about budget builds and things like that. Matt said settle for what you can't afford. And I had a rant. And that's why I had that rant. Because there is no plane on this earth where someone should have the power to tell you what you can and can't do with your own life. Right? To quote Optimus Prime, a hero of the 80s, right? Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. And if you're free, you can be happy. Because if you this social media bollocks of I've got to get enough likes, that's a shackle, that's a chain that holds you down. My show car's not ready. Yeah, because it drives. If it's got wheels, it's got an engine, it's got an MOT, get out, right? Because you go to an event and you'll meet 9 times out of 10, someone old school like me will come out of the woodwork and go, oh, what's the rest of the plan? Right? Don't listen to the rest of them. I can't believe they turned up in that. What's the rest of the plan? Oh, I know someone who can do that. I can put you in touch with this person. I can put you in touch with that person. That's where we need to get to again as a community. And we're going back to that slowly. Because the days of financed air and wheels being the epitome of a build, like Max Power reunions this year, I saw the most beautiful thing. I saw a Vauxhall Corsa with BMW 5 Series headlights in it on a Facebook post today, and it just made me happy. There's no need to do it. They've just done it because they wanted to, right? So, like, there are plenty of people in the car community now who are struggling. The help's there. The people who are in the community there. The events are there. Like, reach out. If you want to talk, if you don't want to talk to your doctor yet, right? If you're struggling, reach out to the page, right? We'll get that notification. Someone on this team will get that notification. And we'll just say, we're not trained counsellors, right? I'm not going to say we are. But we'll also not tell you to fuck off. What we will say is that this is where you can get some help, right? If you're in an event, come fucking talk to us. We'll point you in the right direction. We'll give you some ideas of shit that works for the people around us. I know if you go and talk to Clare at an event, it means the world to her still. I saw her little grinning face at the first Pissed Up social when I just walked up to her, gave her a hug and went, you've already had one person that I know has helped tonight, mate. Right? Because I'd had a chat with someone that felt better for hanging out with us. And just having someone to talk to about some shit.
Yeah.
Just getting to air their shit, right? This community is the most accepting thing on the planet. There's always going to be a bad egg. But who cares? Right? Don't let the bullshit get to you. Because the only thing they can do is say words, right? They're not the kind of people that are going to have the stones to come up and just twat you in the face with a metal bar. Don't let anyone tell you can't do something. Like anyone that's watching, just don't. You can do whatever you want. Like, there's certain things you shouldn't do. Like, you shouldn't go around killing people, right?
Well, I was saying this the other day. I was like, I think for as long as your actions have like positive consequences. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. Just be a good, ethical human, man. Think about other people before you do dumb shit. Yeah. Think about other people before you say what you want to say or how you feel in the heat of the moment or typing that thing out online. Just don't, man. Think about the bigger picture, those wider impacts, and just go the opposite direction. Like sometimes I've been trying to like train myself recently, like when I get angry about something or frustrated, I'm trying to find the funny side of it. And I know, right, it's weird, it's Ricky's fault. He's always laughing at stuff when I get mad, and I'm like, I want to be like that. I want to be more like that. I want to be able to laugh at stuff instead of get mad. So, but yeah, just little things.
Not COVID.
That's cool.
No, I've done a swab test this morning because I've been in the office. It's not a COVID. It's because I've got a parched throat. So, like, I think the real thing is when we're talking about mental health, like, things are going to affect everybody differently, but the scariest thing is if you're the first one of your friends to open up. But when you do, you'd be amazed how many of your other friends have been bottling it up, and it all comes out. I remember when Violent Running was but a camp of 4 people on a combustion punk stand. And I told Connor and Tish, I heard he already knew about the Asperger's, but I told Connor and Tish, and we rechristened our Camp Retard because it entertained me. And then we put an MX5 nuts admin in a bin.
Hi, Mike, if you're watching.
Right, but having a bit of sense of humour about what's going on, like my Asperger's is funny sometimes, right? Because I just won't read a situation right, and I'll do the weirdest or we'll go into a supermarket and like the noise will be too much for me, so I'll hide, or I'll walk around with my fingers in my ears like a petulant little toddler. But whatever you've got going on, there's most of the time there's something funny in that situation. There's plenty of help out there. There's not just the NHS. There's not just the free services. If you've got the money to pay for stuff, excuse me. If you've got the money to pay for stuff, sometimes there's things like Headspace. As I say, that meditative space is a good thing for me. Getting out and doing some exercise. If you can't afford a gym, running's free. Put some shoes on. Go running barefoot. That's the thing I do sometimes because I'm a weird little countryside creature. I just like going outside and like walking barefoot in the grass because it's like... You
totally started this podcast saying none of that hippie crap, yet here we are ending it on walking on the grass.
Barefoot. Being in touch with nature, yeah.
Yeah. The good stuff.
Yeah. But...
the free stuff.
The free stuff. Enjoy the free stuff, right? Not everything's got to cost money. Get in touch with Shout if you're really in that place. 85258.
85258.
That number is down in the description, right? I'm gonna put a link to a podcast actually that I've been listening to recently called The Nord Mentality down below. It's about lifting weights and just about getting out of that victim mindset and making some positive changes in your life. We listen to it when we're working out in the gym now, and it's like it's helping me clear out in my skull face. Like it's run by a guy who runs a business. There's other business people on there. It is a thing that really helps me because of the similarities, at least. So we'll share the link to that because I think it's a valuable resource for people. There's none of the usual links to any support the channel down below. We're going to be filming on Wednesday night at Clare's next event. I won't be there. We're sending Matt along with Matt's camera kit because on Thursday daytime I'm loading up the van for Yakushi. So if you're at Yakushi, right, if you see this, you feel crap and you're at Yakushi, come to the gazebo and
you see this, you're at Yakushi, you come say hello anyway, whether you feel good, bad, happy, sad, indifferent, come and say hello. We want to see you. We're all about making new friends, and if you vibed on this, then we want to say hi too.
Cool. That's the right answer. Yeah. Claire's better at this than I am. But I just want to thank everybody that's watched today. If you're struggling, reach out to someone. It can be us. It can be your mum or your dad. They won't want you to be in but someone in your family loves you. Your granny. Your granny always loves you. Don't self-medicate. Stupid plan. Doesn't work in the long run. Your GP should help. Will help. 111 is good. And thanks for watching this episode. Thanks for bearing with some pretty deep emotion. We will be back. We will talk about like the positive mental aspects of like driving forward in a bit more detail about the changes you can make. That'll be me and Claire again. And have a good one. We'll see you maybe on Friday live. Write questions. do questiony things, because this lot won't be allowed to use their phones anywhere near the gazebo because it'll ruin the bandwidth. So there'll be no fake questions. You've been watching Shooting the Shift. I've been Bam. That's been Claire. Thank you very much for giving us about an hour and 10 minutes of your life. And hope you have a good one. Don't forget, we love you if you feel like no one does. Oh, we love you anyway.